What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Andrew. I got Brandon here with me, like always.
Yo.
And thank you for checking out our views from the sidelines. Tired. How you doing, buddy?
Tired. Want to get this over with.
Of course you do. Of course you do. What a guy. He's making me feel like I'm doing a great job here. And, he reminds me that my friends are dicks. But he loves me, and I know they love me. But they're just dicks.
You guys are dicks for forcing me to podcast.
Dude, you volunteered for this.
I don't want to do it.
You take back your volunteering?
I don't want to do this.
This or community service?
No, I don't want to do this.
What a guy. All right, well, we got some things to talk about today. We're going to get back on track with the whole sports world. I know we've been talking about extracurricular stuff, but we're going to get back to what we do best and talk about sports. So, Brandon, what's the first one for us, man?
The NFL Top 100 list.
Top 100. So every year, the players themselves actually vote on the list themselves, right?
Uh-huh.
So they do this. They actually do this before the playoffs, so like the end of the regular season, they end up doing this, and I don't think it's fair because a lot of the great performances come in the playoffs, and I think they just miss those, and that's what I think they did with this list, especially with the top 10. Yeah, I mean, obviously with number one, I think the first question I got down there is, am I surprised with number one?
The feelings about who number one is.
So, and I am actually. So Brady's actually number one. The players actually voted him number one this year, which I don't think. Now, I don't have a huge argument about it. I don't hate it. I understand why. Obviously, with him being 45 years old and still playing at the level that he is. But I just don't think that his dominance of the game is showing anymore. Now, me personally, if I had to pick a number one, I'd probably go with the guy who's at number two, and that's Aaron Donald. And you've heard me say this before. I believe Aaron Donald is the most dominant player in the game. He is the best player in the NFL. And I just still think that he's flat out the best player in the league. I think he should be number one. Again, I'm not mad at the fact that Tom Brady's number one, but I just don't think that he should be number one. I think his stats that made him number one are a little bit inflated because especially last year that he threw the ball more than any other quarterback. Right, he had about 140, 150 more passing attempts than any other quarterback in the league. And I just don't. When you have that many more throws, you could add up that many more yards. It's PEMDAS over here. So I just don't think that. Who I think should be who I told you who I think should be number one is Aaron Donald, but I think the first quarterback that should be higher than Brady is Aaron Rodgers. Now, he's third on this list, and understandably so, because his playoff performances aren't great, and he's not well liked as a player. He has his own issues. Like, he's very standoffish. He could rub some people the wrong way, but he wins back-to-back MVP. I mean, there's not much you can do about that. So I think that he should have been number two. Maybe put Brady at 3, and then kind of just go from the list from there. So I don't know. I mean, Aaron Donald, I could put him at first. Aaron Rodgers with his unbelievable passing record with 40 touchdowns and five picks. He's only thrown 15 interceptions in the last 4 years. And Brady threw 14 last year in 1 year. So, I mean, the efficiency that Aaron Rodgers shows is just insane. But, again, I just put him at number 3. I mean, he is at number 3. I would put him at number 2. and Brady at 3, but I don't know who's counting. I do have some. I am surprised with some people though. Yeah, Cooper Kupp. They got Cooper Kupp at number 4. I don't think he's the best receiver in the league. They got him at number 4, right? Mm-hmm. And I know why they have a number 4, because he won the Triple Crown, which is receptions, yards, and touchdowns, right? That's considered the holy grail stat that you want, is all 3. And I get it, he won that Triple Crown award, but I don't, his skill set wise, skill based, I can name about 5 receivers that are better than him, like off the top of my head. And now Cooper Kupp has just gotten into the great offensive system that he is. He got the greatest quarterback that he could be possibly paired with in Matt Stafford. And yeah, I don't think that. I think they're kind of living in the moment with Cooper Kupp. But I mean, the receiver behind him, who is number 7 on this list, who's actually Devonte Adams, who's actually a Raider now. I think he's the best receiver in the league. His skill set, he does it all. He can catch the ball, he can run after the catch, he can great route runner. I think he's the best receiver in the league. I wouldn't put him at 4, like all time, but I believe he should be the highest receiver, if that makes sense. And seeing the list and seeing how it's broken down, it's kind of like a favoritism, or it's a lot of living in the moment. That's what this list is. I kind of notice. Like Jonathan Taylor, they put him at number 5. And last year he wasn't even on the list. You know what I mean? And I get it with Jonathan Taylor. He had a hell of a season. You know what I mean? Like 20 total touchdowns, 18 rushing touchdowns. I mean, this guy had the greatest season of his life. Right? But it's a lot of living in the moment. Like they're forgetting about like Derrick Henry, who was hurt last year, but he was on a pace to go for another 3,000 yards type of deal. He was on that pace. I mean, I understand Jonathan Taylor. I don't think he's going to do this again. And I don't even think Cooper Kupp's going to do what he did last year. He's not. I don't think that at all. So it's the same thing. Like, they're living in the moment. TJ Watt, he's a linebacker. He's same thing. He wasn't even on the list. He was number 9 last year. Right. So he wasn't on the list. He was still in the top 10. And he's a great defensive player. But same thing. Like, I don't know if this is going to keep up for him. I think they're just living in the moment with these guys. But I understand, because a lot of guys aren't. They're either hurt or they're not in the right situation. Or maybe they had just a down year, and that's what usually happens in the NFL. It's hard to keep that consistency up. So I don't know. Like, this list I've seen is very in the moment. Like Patrick Mahomes, right? He's at number 8, and last year he was at 1. I mean, you're living in the moment. Like, he has a iffy year, but his iffy year was like still the best career of everybody else's. Like 37 touchdowns and 13 interceptions is a great, right? But at the same time, there's other quarterbacks that had a little bit less touchdowns and more interceptions that are higher than him, like Tom Brady. Tom Brady had more interceptions than him and still on the list. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So that's my thing. I mean, I think they're just living in the moment too much, and that's what this list is usually about. The rest of the list, I'm not really too mad about. Travis Kelce, I guess, at number 10. I think that I don't think he deserves that spot. I think he should be the highest tight end. I think he is the best tight end, but I don't think he deserves to be the top 10 player. If that makes sense. Like, that's just me personally. But yeah, I mean, that's just how I feel about the list all in total. I'm not gonna go through each bracket. It's gonna take too much time. Like, I'm really just focusing on the top 10 right now. But the rest of the list is kind of like where I see it. I mean, they put Michael Parsons at You know, that's a homer for me because I'm a Cowboy fan. They put him at 16. I think that's too high for him right now. He's still 1 year out, a rookie still. We got to see if he can do it again. And, but yeah, I mean, I think 16 is a little too high from him. But other than that, I don't really have a problem. But yeah, we'll see how it goes from that, man. But that's just me, how I feel.
Alrighty, buddy. Now let's go to the NBA offseason talks.
What's that big fella?
I don't even know what that says.
Oh, RJ Barrett?
RJ Barrett gets 4-year rookie extension worth $120 million.
Yeah, man. I was kind of surprised about that. I know this is a tie, and I put this in there just because of the fact that it's a tie into the next one, right? With him getting this deal, it's kind of like, I get it, it's only an extension, but that's a lot of money to pay this kid. Knowing that this guy hasn't really, he hasn't panned out the way he was supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
He came out of the same draft as Zion. I believe Zion, yeah. He was the third pick. He went to the Knicks. And he was supposed to be kind of like the shooter because he was the second option on that team, on the Duke team, with Zion, him, and Cam Reddish. But when you watch him play, like, you see a lot of flaws still in his game. And I know he's still young, so he's still trying to work them out. But I don't know if he's worth this 4-year extension. Like, you're putting a lot of pressure on this kid now. And that's just... I don't think it's fair for the Knicks to do that to him. But then we're also talking about the Knicks. And they don't have a lot to look forward to. They're trying to get an all-star, which ties into the next topic. And I don't know if they have the room now for this next guy. And I don't know. This move didn't make sense to me. And I don't see them getting it better now. Now they're definitely going to have to wait until bigger free agents hit the market. And I don't know if they're even if that happens, I don't even think they're going to be in the market for that. So I think it's too early for this deal. They should have waited a year. But hey, Knicks do Knicks things, and that was a Knick thing.
What about the Donovan Mitchell trade request?
Donovan Mitchell, okay. So let's kind of recap real quick what happened with Utah, right? Utah trades out Rudy Gobert, right? They get a haul for Rudy Gobert. They get like 5 players and 3 first-round picks, right? This is what Danny Ainge ends up doing. Yeah, they get like 5 players, 3 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. Now you're surrounding Donovan Mitchell with a bunch of kind of no-names, right? And then also Patrick Beverley ends up getting traded to. He ends up getting traded to the Lakers, so that's another thing. But there's not a lot on that team. Utah's in a full rebuild now. Like, that's what they're doing. Donovan doesn't want to be in the rebuild because he wants to try to win. Even though he's not known for really winning. So he wants to get traded out now. Which I think he should. I think him on the team. He can't be your best player on the team, but he could be like your second best player. Like, kind of like how LeBron and AD are. Like, AD's the second role player, but he can still ball. He needs to go to a team where he could be kind of the second fiddle, where he doesn't have to be the man, but he can still go get his own. Like, if that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
But he deserves to get traded. I just don't. I don't know. What's the next little topic there? But
Well, do you think, is he going to get traded or not?
yeah, I think he is. He's gonna have to. I don't know how holdouts work in the NBA because they don't really happen a lot. Because I know they happen in the NFL. But for NBA, I think to keep the entire organization happy, I think you need to. you need to trade him out. Like, it's not fair to him. He's done a lot for that organization. I think they owe him that, to try to trade him and send him somewhere for him to try to win. And yeah, so I think he'll be traded by October. By the time the season starts, he'll be traded out, I think. That's me personally.
Where do you think he's going?
Where? So this tied into the other one that we talked about with RJ Barrett. I was thinking the Knicks, because you could see him around New York a lot. You know, he's going to the Mets games, he's going to all the Rangers games, all those games. Because he's from New York, and I believe New York, if I remember correctly, his dad works, or a close friend to his dad actually works with the Knicks. So he has some, a familiar face there. Yeah, so I was thinking the Knicks this whole time, but with that whole signing of RJ Barrett, now I don't know. Because I don't know if you could trade that contract out now. Because it's a lot of money. Like 4 years, 120 is a lot. And I don't know if you could trade a rookie deal. But the other team I think he could possibly go to, and it could really work, is Milwaukee. Now, I don't know if they'll do it, but you might have to send out Chris Middleton, a couple other pieces, maybe some draft picks, and send them and pair them up with Giannis. I don't know how that worked exactly, but I think that's the better fit for him. That way he doesn't have to be the man, but Giannis still has another guy to go get his bucket. He has a legit all-star guy. But that's the only other place I think that would work. I mean, I don't see anywhere else. Maybe Miami, but you're not going to separate Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Obviously, you want that big three with Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, and, Bam Adebayo. So I think Milwaukee is the only place. The Knicks, obviously, if they can make that work, they can. But, yeah, there's not a lot of trade destinations for him right now, and it's kind of sad because I want to see him actually win. And he's just going to fizzle out in Utah and never do anything ever again. But, that's how I feel about Donovan. I mean, he's kind of like that fringe superstar, all-star player that he needs to prove himself still, and yet he hasn't done that. He's like a Kyrie Irving, but without the ring. And I'm not too excited about where he goes. It doesn't really matter. He's not a huge game changer.
Mm-hmm.
But, hopefully he gets traded out and he goes somewhere that he actually wants to be at. So, yeah, we'll see.
All right, buddy.
What's up, big guy?
We're going to touch on the numbers 34 and 33 for your top 50.
Ooh, see, we're getting close to the top 30.
All right,
What's the 34, big guy?
34, we got Scottie Pippen.
Scottie Too Hottie Pippen. That's not his nickname. Scottie Pippen, man. So, the guy's nickname as Robin. That's disrespectful.
Like from Batman Robin?
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy.
He's Robin to Jordan, and
yeah.
Jordan's Batman. What a guy. Oh, my God. Anyway, so technically he is Robin, right? He is the ultimate wingman. Hint. But let's get into his accolades real quick, and then I'll talk about him as a player. So, he's a Hall of Famer, obviously. 7-time All-Star, 6-time NBA champion, 10-time All-Defensive player. He's part of the top 75 anniversary team. He's the 94 Steals champ. He's a 7-time All-NBA player, and he's a 93 All-Star MVP. Right?
Yeah.
I believe he was close to actually winning the MVP as well that same year. He was close to winning an MVP, but he just got beat out, I believe, by Elijah, maybe? I forget. Scottie Pippen, to me, is overly. He's in that realm of like, it's either very disrespected or very overhyped. There's no in between with Scottie. It's like it's either he's this dude that could carry his own team, even though it's proven that he can't, or he's just this bum following Michael Jordan, which that's just not the case. Scottie just fell into the best role and just, took the most out of his role, right? He got to play with Jordan, who was obviously the guy for the Bulls, right? He's going to score all the buckets if you give him a shot. He's going to do whatever he needs to do to win. So in order for Michael to really do that, he had to relinquish some of the responsibility to Scottie. And what I mean by that is Scottie was a very, very intelligent basketball player, meaning he could facilitate an offense. He could play defense at a high caliber. Like, he knows passing lanes. He's very long. He's very lengthy. Like, he has a huge wingspan. He's about 6'8", 6'9". So, like, he's able to guard a lot of players in a lot of different positions. Like, I remember in Jordan's first ring, when they were playing against the Lakers with Magic Johnson, the Lakers win game 1, and Magic Johnson ends up getting a triple-double against Michael Jordan, just because of the fact that Magic could see over the top of Michael, right? So he could still get his assists and do whatever he needs to do. But in the next game, they end up switching Scottie Pippen on him, and it's a struggle because Magic Johnson now is seeing eye to eye to a player, and he's not very used to that. So, like, Scottie is the best utility nice to have. Like, he could run the floor, he could facilitate, obviously, he could play great defense. And if you force him to score, he's going to. Like, he had a great little mid range. He had a great. He could attack the basket if you need to. He could shoot a 3 if he needs to. Like, he was a well equipped all around player. The problem is that he never got the opportunity to really show what he could do. Because, like, I know after this, he ends up teaming up with Elijah Wan, Charles Barkley, Clyde Drexler at the Rockets. But they were all past their prime. Like, they were very old already. They were about, like, 35, 36 years old. Scottie was, like, still kind of 34-ish, 35. So he was still up in age, was still able to contribute more. So that didn't really work out. But then he ends up going to Portland with that 2000 team, which that Portland team was actually really good. But the same thing, like, he wasn't the same Scottie Pippen as he was. He was more or less the kind of the role player. He wasn't really the second guy anymore. He wasn't the main scorer. He was just a guy on the team. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like the Scottie argument a lot about how impactful he was for Mike. And, like, a lot of people say that, without Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen wouldn't have anything. And you're probably right if you say that. Because personally, I wouldn't want Scottie by himself. Even though I think that he could be able to carry a team, and he did. Like, he showed once he could actually do it. Like, the year Michael Jordan left, like, between the 2 3-peats, it was about a season and a half. He left, and, he actually carried that team from, not from 55 wins. Obviously, with Michael Jordan, they got 55 wins. And then they only lost 2 more. I mean, they lost 3 games and dropped down to 52. So, I mean, he still carried that team to 52 wins. He was a bad call away from going to the finals. I mean, we would never know if Scottie could actually lead a team to a championship. I mean, he got close, but we never know. So, yeah, I mean, Scottie is... But Michael Jordan has always actually said it about Scottie, and that the fact that he couldn't win without him. He was there for every championship, for both 3-peats. Scottie played a huge part in a lot of them. Guarding the best defender, getting a lot of rebounds, facilitating the offense. That way, Jordan could actually just go and do what he does best, and which is score the basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So I give a lot of respect to Scottie. I just don't put him in that upper echelon of players as a lot of other people do. Like, they want to put him as a pantheon great player just because of the fact that he has 6 rings. But I don't even think he was the best small forward at his time. I just think that he was just on the best team. So that's me, Scottie at 34. There's no hate or disrespect towards him at all. I just don't like the huge, swings that it takes with Scottie. It's either he's a bum or he's like the GOAT.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. And he's terrible as an analyst, by the way. Terrible. This guy backtracks on his takes, and then hypes everything up. And he's talking shit about Jordan. And I just don't know what this guy's doing anymore. And he looks crazy. I don't know, man. He has some issues right now. I don't know. That's Scottie Pippen at 34, man.
And number 33, we have Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson. The answer. The answer. What a guy. He is a very iconic player for a lot of us. You probably remember him.
Yeah, I do. He's one of the few I remember.
Right? The few of the mighty players that you know.
Yep.
Along with, who else do you know? Kobe, obviously.
Kobe, Shaq, Scottie, Steve Nash, Yao Ming, CP3, of course Kobe.
Of course, Kobe.
Always the best for me.
Kobe.
I don't really care for anybody after that.
Not LeBron? No LeBron?
No.
All right.
No.
That's hurtful.
No LeBron.
Yeah. Well, that's hurtful. All right. Anyways. Allen Iverson. So let's get into his accolades real quick. He's a Hall of Famer, right? He's a 11-time All-Star. He's a 4-time scoring champ. He's a 3-time steals champ. He's a 7-time All-NBA player. He was part of the 96-97 All-Rookie team. And then he also won Rookie of the Year that same year. He was a 2-time All-Star MVP. And then he won the 2000 MVP. And then he ends up being on the top NBA 75 team, anniversary team as well. So this guy has quite a bit of accolades, right? So, and then his stats, obviously he's a score first guy. I mean, he's always been that guy. He's 26 points a game, 6-6 guy. He wasn't very efficient, 42% from the floor. But this guy was dangerous at his height. He was about 6 foot. He's about my height, maybe a little taller than me, maybe a little shorter. But he was just giving people buckets, right? And that was kind of the issue, like the stigma of you can't win with short players. And he kind of like debunked that, because obviously we know the fact that he dragged that Sixers team to the finals, right? The year he won the MVP, the 2000 year, he ends up going to the finals. Ends up playing Kobe and Shaq. Obviously, they're going against Kobe and Shaq. They're undermanned. But he ends up stealing the game. He ends up stealing, I believe, game 1, right? He doesn't get swept. It's obviously a gentleman's sweep. But that's where you get the iconic step over when he steps over Tyronn Lue. But it's impressive what this guy can actually do. And we're all lucky that he wasn't 6'6" or 6'7", because he probably would have been the GOAT. But after that year, after that 2000 year, I mean, he couldn't get back to the finals. I mean, obviously, he takes a lot of punishment, especially in that time era. A lot of guards that when they try to attack the basket, they get hit by, Shaq in the middle, Yao Ming, Ben Wallace in the middle. Like, they just get hit. And you take a lot of punishment, and you just get that. You get old. You get a little older quicker. You start hurting more. And that's what ended up happening to Allen Iverson. But there's also one more thing that actually happened to him as well. It's the same thing that's happened to Westbrook now, where his game never re-evolved. And Westbrook's going through it now. He's noticing like he's used to doing the same things that he was doing with OKC. When he went to the Rockets, he went to Washington. He's used to doing the same thing. But when you start going to players or to teams with all-star players already, with guys that they don't need you to do that, they need you to play a certain role. Well, guys like Allen Iverson, they can't play other roles because they're known to just be that guy. And that's what I kind of said about Russell Westbrook. Like, he's the guy, and he's not used to trying to be third fiddle when he's used to being the main guy. And that's what happened to Allen Iverson as well. I mean, he ends up going to Portland. Not Portland, I'm sorry. He goes to Detroit. Actually, no, the Nuggets first. Sorry. He ends up going to the Nuggets first. He goes to play with Carmelo Anthony. It doesn't work there because he's used to being the guy, but Carmelo's there. He was that guy. He was still young. He was coming up. Then he ends up going to Detroit. Detroit doesn't work out for him either. But then he ends up going to Timberwolves and then never plays them. He ends up just going overseas to Turkey or something. And it's kind of like a fall for grace from him because here's Allen Iverson, the answer. The guy from Virginia. Just, on this pedestal of like greatness. Going to the finals, dragging that team to the finals, being 6 foot, dropping 26 points a game. To, in his final years, like, getting, coaches' decisions not playing and, on the injury reserve list because he has a bad hammy because he just can't play. Like, there's a lot of this going on and it sucks. And this is what it kind of separates like the greats to the very good. And Allen Iverson, I want to call him great, but he had that great run, and after that, it kind of just fizzled out. So I could say that he's a very good player, but I just can't call him a very great player.
Yeah.
But that's 34, 33. Getting close into the top 30 now. So it's going to get a little bit more tougher for me to actually separate who belongs up there. I had a hard time with Allen Iverson. I really didn't know where to put him at. But I feel like right here is in a good spot. Same thing with Scottie Pippen. I didn't really know what to do with the 6 rings. But I think I'm trying to separate that aspect of it. I'm trying to just separate the rings conversation out of this because if that was the case, then Bill Russell would have to be on this list.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other players I would have to throw on this list, but I just physically I can't, or mentally I just can't do it. It's just. But yeah, so these are getting harder, tougher, and tougher for me now. So we're gonna. Hopefully, I can take some more time and do this. But that is it for us today, I believe. I don't got nothing else. I think those are last week's episode.
Yeah, it's last week's stuff.
Are we good on time? Yeah, we're good on time.
35.
No, beautiful. But that is it for us today, man. Brandon, I appreciate you always being here.
Yeah.
Brian Bushy tail, the guy that you are.
You know the vibes.
The vibras. Let's get weird.
No, I work tomorrow.
Never mind.
Yeah, no. You were off tomorrow?
No.
Yeah, no, I'm off tomorrow.
I gotta work.
I'm gonna have a long week.
Yeah, you are, huh?
Reflect.
Ugh. It's okay, man.
So, I'm not getting weird.
No weirdness?
For I don't know how long.
Alright, but I know last episode I said that we were supposed to have a special episode this week. But some family emergency, or not family emergency, some
Unforeseen events.
Yeah, unforeseen events happened and we couldn't get it together. But hopefully, we get that done by next week for you guys to see that episode. I'm very excited for that episode because I believe that will kind of push us over the edge a little bit to where I kind of want this podcast to go. Also, you guys don't know that, but I actually started my, sports broadcasting school stuff. So hopefully that could help us out as well. It can actually show me how to actually do a podcast and stuff like that. And maybe Brandon could maybe take a break for a bit. And I could just kind of take over.
Took a year off.
Let's not do that, buddy. You're pushing it, big guy. You're pushing it a year, bro. I'll give you like 2 weeks. Wait.
I'm going to extend my stay in Mexico for a year so I don't have to pod.
What a guy.
Just live out there for a year.
You just hate us, huh?
I just hate podcasting.
Yeah.
I just want to watch Netflix.
You gotta teach me how to edit, man.
I teach everybody how to edit. That way you guys can take turns.
No, they're not gonna do it. Are you kidding me? Let's be honest here.
I know, you're not wrong.
Here's my TED Talk. The audacity of this bad thing, right? Anybody else is really gonna try to edit it, but other than me. Like, really?
And still do it wrong.
Yeah, dude, are you kidding me? Like, you think I'm you? I'm not. It's not gonna be perfect.
It'll, like, after, well, that same day you try to learn. I had to. Just because, you have to get it right. It's not complicated, it's just time consuming.
Right. I think if you just show me the little
yeah, it's just time consuming.
Okay, but that is it for us right now, man. Like I said, follow us on the Views and Silent Instagram. Go subscribe to us on the YouTube. Rate us 5 stars. Share us out to your, to your fans, to your friends, family, whoever likes sports, your doctor.
Your doctor.
I don't know, your drug supplier.
Yeah.
If you're into that.
While he's chopping the brick, you can listen to it.
Yeah, bro. Like, I think this is a great, chopping the brick of, podcast.
Calm. Keep them calm, not thinking the cops are coming.
Exactly. So, but we appreciate all my friends that do listen to the podcast regularly. Appreciate you guys, and hopefully big things are coming, and you guys be safe, and we'll see you guys next week.
Later.